Hello, Sam from Sound on Sound magazine here. I'm at the AES convention in New York with Will from iZotope.
Hi there.
Hello, Will. iZotope are showing two new products here, one of which is the latest version of their Nectar vocal processing plugin. Tell us about Nectar 3.
Well, Nectar 3 is, like you said, the latest version of our vocal processing line. It's designed to get your vocals to sit in the mix. And it does this in a few different ways. First thing you'll notice if you're a user of our previous plugins is that we have now updated the look and feel to be more in line with our Neutron and Ozone line. As you can see, our modules are now arranged on the top. The UI now is completely resizable, so you can expand or contract to basically adjust to your own specific workflow or screen setup. So like I said, this is designed to get your vocals to sit in the mix well. So to do that, we offer a series of modules from compression to de-essing all the way to delay, modulation, EQ, artificial harmonies, subtle reverb, and saturation. So essentially, Nectar 3 is your complete vocal chain for any sort of vocal mixing situation. We know that vocal mixing can be sometimes daunting. There's a lot of ways to approach it, a lot of ins and outs. So we've added a major new feature to Nectar. It's called Vocal Assistant. In the manner of our previous assistants, Mix Assistant, Master Assistant, we now have Vocal Assistant specifically designed to set up a vocal chain and get you started right away, giving you more time to get to that creative stuff later. So just to kind of show you what we're working with, in this session I have a pop vocal. So this is kind of what it sounds like. And with the vocal soloed, you can hear, which is a pretty good sounding, well-recorded vocal, but our purpose is we want to sit this in the mix and just make it stand out a little bit more. We can do this very quickly with Vocal Assistant, which is a new mode in Nectar. We'll listen to your vocals and assign the best settings and get you started. So you'll notice there are two actual features here. You can choose Assist or Unmask. So Unmask uses inter-plugin communication, which I will explain in just a second. You can choose one or both. I'm just going to choose Assist for now. And then it's going to ask us what kind of vibe we're looking for. And this can be a vintage vibe, sort of like a classic vibe, like a folk or classic rock vocal. In this case, I might want to choose modern because we're working with a pop vocal right here. You can also choose dialogue for clear spoken word. And then, of course, we have our three intensity settings, which are controlling essentially how aggressive or light the settings themselves are going to be. So the steepness of the EQ cuts and the thresholds and such. I'm going to choose aggressive, modern. When we run it, we have to play the audio through it, and then we wait for the vocal assistant to work, and you can hear the settings happening in the background, and this is because vocal assistant is actually moving parameters around and finding the optimal settings based on the analysis that it's performing of your vocal track. So we have, we're learning the optimal input gain, and this sets our auto level mode, proper EQ settings for our boost and our cut EQ, thresholds for gates and de-essers and compressors are all factored in, and then finally we sort of set an intelligent level of reverb just to give you that subtle halo effect for you. If you like the settings and you can hear them, you can click accept. And just to kind of take you through what we're looking at, once again, Vocal Assistant will set up a vocal chain for you. So it does this in a way that makes sense for vocals. First of all, we have a pitch module that detects C scale, and it informs our harmony module or any other pitch-based modules you have. In this case, it's turned off automatically. It's not something that Vocal Assistant will ever automatically turn on for you. The first stage in our chain is going to be our EQ, which is in this case a cut or a subtractive EQ. We've intelligently identified areas of resonance in the vocal and applied cuts to those resonances that would cause problems in subsequent processing down the line. We have a de-essing stage, which has automatically learned the threshold and the crossover setting for the de-esser, and as you can see, our UI has been revamped now, so you are now interacting directly on the spectrum with this compressor, or de-esser, so it's a lot easier to work with. Same with our compression as well. You have a threshold that will actually let you attenuate directly from the waveform itself, along with a gain trace that's giving you direct feedback. You can see that we've added this compression right automatically here and set the threshold automatically. The second stage of our EQ is what's called a tonal EQ, and this change is based on the vibe template you select. And in this case, since I chose modern, we're getting a lot of boost and presence in the mid-range to the high-end range to give you that bright tone. You'll also notice that the EQ has been redesigned from our previous EQs, and now the controls are all contextual, meaning that everything is on the node as you click, or if you want to add a node, you can click. If you want to change frequency gain or other settings, it's all right here in the HUD, heads up. And you can also select dynamic mode now. We've included dynamic mode in the new Nectar EQ, along with a new frequency mode, so you can use the dynamic mode in either gain or frequency mode. Gain is what you'd expect if you've used Neutron. It applies a cut based on where or how loud the actual frequency area is. So it can be a really transparent cut that only occurs sometimes. But the new mode that we have, follow mode or freak mode, you can see it in action here. And what this does is instead of going up and down, it will actually track left and right the harmonic that you set it over. So this is useful in vocals, and in this case, we've set one up automatically through Vocal Assistant as a high-pass filter. And this high-pass filter is following the bottom harmonic, and it eliminates the mud in the vocal without actually affecting this pleasing low-end throat harmonic that the singer has. And it's really important because, as you can see, halfway through this little segment I'm playing, the vocalist goes up in register. And you can see the follow EQ mode following it up in register and just short of the harmonic itself, thus eliminating the mud in the vocal without actually having to automate the node itself. So that's a really useful mode, but you can also use it as a tracking mode up here in the upper registers if you wanted to. You had a lot of resonance up there, you had a singer that was moving up and down the scale but had a really resonant harmonic. In this case, that's not happening, but you can set the follow mode up here too and have it track that nearest harmonic. So it gives you a lot of control over and above even our EQs that we've done in the past. And finally, on this particular Vocal Assistant pass, we have engaged a really light reverb, and as you can see, our mix is down really, really low, just to give it that subtle halo effect. Nothing too drastic, but you are free, of course, to change any of these settings or increase them. Just to take a look over here at the output stage, we now have a new auto level mode that will automatically ride the input gain for you to keep a consistent level, and this is outside of any additional compression that you do. So this is sort of like a automatic gain control before you even hit the Nectar's processing. If you move it above the vocal, then it's going to turn up. If you move it below the vocal, it's going to ride it down. Usually Vocal Assistant sets it automatically right at the optimum level. Finally, there's a limiter if you so choose, and you can set it on the output stage and drive into a limiter if you really wanted to get crazy. So that is essentially everything that Vocal Assistant did for us. We are, of course, free to add additional things like our dimension, our harmony module. This is a big draw of Nectar. You can create artificial unison harmonies and doubles. You can add up to 8 voices, which is 4 more than the original Nectar 2. So you can actually create an entire choir of yourself by applying pitch correction, setting the scale and key, and then applying unison, or you can apply harmonies in semitones. You can also enable MIDI control in this mode and actually play harmonies on your keyboard if you wanted to. So this will give you that full voice texture. And then finally, just the other major big feature that we've introduced with Nectar 3 is this ability to use interplugging communication to unmask vocals from other tracks. So we want to be able to not only get your vocal sounding good in isolation, but in the context of the entire mix. You can choose just unmask, or you can choose Vocal Assistant if you want to. In this case, I'm going to choose unmask. I don't want Vocal Assistant to run. And so what this does is it asks you to select a source, and this source is any one of the tracks where you've put the new Relay plugin. So Relay comes with Nectar 2, Nectar 3, and it acts as sort of a channel strip by itself. You have gain, pan, width, as well as filter settings, mono, phase, etc., but it also does processing under the hood if you choose to unmask. So what's happening here is, for my vocal, I feel like the chord section, this marimba, so you can hear it, I feel like this is causing a little bit of masking, maybe not so much because I ran Vocal Assistant, but I still think there's a bit of a problem. So I want to select my source. I put Relay on my marimba track called Chords, and now I'm going to click Next. What it's going to do is Nectar is going to look at that, the Relay on the marimba is going to look at Nectar, and it's going to process the marimba to get it out of the way of what it's seeing from Nectar. So you won't really see a huge difference in Nectar. But if you go over to the relay on the chords, you'll see it's now unmasking. And if you audition it, you just click unmask on or off. You can actually hear that the marimba, as I turn it off, the transients and a lot of the mid-range are masking the vocal, but if I turn it on, then we're going to get some natural shaping of the sound to get that marimba out of the way of the vocal automatically. And you can do this by loading additional Nectars on your vocal track, and you can run the unmask mode for each Nectar, for each relay on your vocal. So I have a second Nectar here, and I want to unmask my vocals from my drums. I can simply run unmask and select drum. And then we play it. The drum can be solo drums, so you can hear it. And now we've also unmasked our drums. So not only is Nectar helping you get your vocal sounding really good by itself, you can see, but we're also going a long way towards sort of smoothing out our mix in general and mixing around the vocal. And we consider the vocals to be the most important part of the mix, so that's kind of where we're coming from.
Fantastic, thanks Will. So when will this be available?
This will be available in just a couple of weeks. We're actually having a promotion now where if you purchase Nectar 2 or upgrade to Nectar 2 or get the music production suite or have those products, if you upgrade to those products within this time, then you will get Nectar 3 and Music Production Suite 2 when it comes out.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to trying it out. Thank you very much, Will.
No problem.